man. I'm happy to be up on this thing. Um, first time I ever been live. I'm streaming straight to YouTube, trying to like grow an audience and kind of like get a vibe for like what it is I'm gonna be talking about and how I'm gonna really try to grow my content and grow my awareness. So my name is Brandon, but I will be going by Project B. I discovered that name actually during a pretty rough period of time in my life last winter in Chicago. I'm from Chicago, live in Chicago. But I was on this app called Clubhouse, and then while on that app, you could change your avatar name or whatever like that. I went through a couple different generations of names, and then Project B was the one that landed. So I'm the original Project B. I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there with that name who trying to, clout chase. But I'm really him like that. I really have my own motion while on Clubhouse. I have my own theory about Clubhouse and what it's about and what how it can benefit people, I guess, you know what I'm saying, from a social perspective. I use Clubhouse a lot. I was like damn near addicted to Clubhouse because it was a place for me to kind of get some social interaction during the wintertime. I had what you might consider like seasonal depression. I have like my own depressive things anyway. Like if you look at my well, that can be for like a later conversation, but like I have attention deficit and I got like a full diagnostic profile and everything like that. And from that, I was able to find out a lot about myself. So yeah, well, this is me, Project B. Um, a little bit about me, man. I got some real life stuff going on. Like I'm not a celebrity. I'm not nobody crazy and nothing like that. I just see the world in a different way at times, and I don't really like to go with a popular narrative or popular opinion. I'm not on the political side. I'm neither left nor right. I grew up obviously black in Chicago, so Democrat was the way to go for the most part. But outside of that, I think both sides have their points, and then both sides got their BS too. And for me, it's being able to navigate both of those without being attached to it or feeling like I have to be. Hold on, let me correct this. But yeah, that's really my aim. My aim is to just be like go from my heart or what I feel is right or wrong. And if that clashes or conflicts with somebody, all right, boom, let's talk it out. Let's see what's good. So that's really where I'm at in my journey. I'm a divorcee. I got divorced, bro. I got married at 24, so that was my first mistake. Got married at 24 to a woman I really like didn't love, but I got her pregnant. So to all the young YNs out there who out here clapping cheeks without wrapping up, this can happen to you. Okay, you could definitely be out here just you know, yes, for me, I was the goofy because I kept going into the situation. I could have just been the baby daddy, and because really what I wanted was the kids. I grew up with a daughter at the time. I only had one daughter, and then I stayed in, locked in, and then I had another daughter. So, girl, dad. However, this is something that happened to me. This was the reality, and damn, man, I feel like my throat is like really scratchy right now. However, I'm going to continue. Um, what else could I say about me, man? I got a long life of just things that I discovered, self discovery about myself. I'm a personal trainer by trade, but I really, if I had to say what I think my life will be and end up being, is that like I think that I'll be in a very powerful position in my life. Look, this thing is crooked behind me. I got ADHD, y'all, so it's gonna happen. That thing look off. I gotta redo that. Again, I'm a single man, so my home decor might be slightly off. However, I do think that it's a situation for myself where because I was so young when I got when I got married, I was always seeking. Oh wait, I think my stuff might be going off. I do not want my stuff to drop, bro. All right, but one thing that I had going on in my life at the time when I was 24, I had just had a near death experience at 23. I went to college, but I didn't finish college. But I basically got a good majority of my credits, but didn't finish, and that just happened because I didn't. I went to the school I went to play sports, not to go to school. And when I went there, I found out that there were other people who played sports who might be a little bit better than me, and that kind of blew me. And I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna just party and like do drugs." Like this is weed. I guess weed is a drug, but I was just smoking weed a lot and working out. Really, I just was like smoking weed and working out, and then I stopped smoking weed and just was just working out and fell in love with working out. I was like, "Yo, working out is kind of solid, bro. Like I was running around campus. You know what I'm saying? I was." Building my confidence in terms of all that. But hey, okay, cool. Doing that, I did that in Louisiana. So I'm taking y'all through this story in no real order at all. So let's start from somewhere, I guess. Brandon Moore grew up in Chicago, right? That's me. You guys should just get my legal name because eventually I'll be famous. I know I will, and not from this necessarily, but from something. From something. There's something brewing, and I know for a fact, like my confidence is there that it's gonna happen. However, okay, cool. Grew up in Chicago, and decided to go to school in Louisiana. Follow my brother's footsteps, who Trinidad Hubbard is his name. He played baseball, and he graduated from Southern University A&M College. So from that school, I was like, well, maybe this is my track, and I can go there, and there's a lineage, there's a pipeline, and I can become that. Right? I want to play in the major leagues, but all for all the wrong reasons. And I wanted to be in the major leagues, but I didn't want to work towards it in terms of like I didn't really understand what it took. I was good in the pool that I was in the bubble that I was in, and then I went to a Division 1 college, and it was like, yo, okay, all right, bro, you might be mid, to be honest, and that's what it was. Cool. We go beyond that. So then that first year for me was like a rude awakening, and then I'm not again. I at this point I have ADHD. I've always had it, but I didn't know. So my emotional kind of response and reaction was like devastation. It's like, damn, I came out here, I did all this, and I yada yada yada, and I'm like not where I want to be. You know what I'm saying? I'm not fulfilling the path. I'm not going in that direction. So I really need to figure it out. But I didn't value school like that. I never did. I never valued school. It was easy for me. It's easy for me to get anything that I just do for a while. So it's like if I just sit there and just like, all right, I'm gonna just listen to this and I'll get the big picture. Again, through my psychological profile, you would understand if I ever do disclose what it's about, is that like I have a very strong matrix reasoning. So like there's like no subject that I wouldn't be able to pick up under practice. Like I wouldn't struggle with it. Languages, anything. It's just I have to do it. It's like I don't just store it in my bag. So I'm not somebody who just like has like I guess you could talk about like Charlie Kirk. He was an autodidact, right? He would just study stuff and just have it. I do have random knowledge in my head. However, I can't be like an expert on a topic unless I spend like at least a month or two on it. But then within a month or two, I ask all the right questions, and that's how I end up kind of getting the gist of most things so fast. Okay, go to college, and that's that, right? And then my mom convinces me to come home. She actually never wanted me to go away anyway, and that's a whole nother conversation. I think that will be a more specific episode on how mothers kind of sabotage their sons if there is no father present. Because, and I don't think that it's intentional. I don't think it's intentional sabotage, but I do think it is sabotage. I think that out of safety and the desire to feel like they know what they're doing, that they over control, and they try to overstep decisions that young men need to make. Young men need to be able to step out on courage and confidence. And if a mother is in the way, always trying to have him make the safe, smart bet all the time, then he'll never kind of develop that. He'll always play by the rules, and he like will very unlikely become the full version of a man that he can be. He will always like depend on women in some role to fulfill his destiny instead of being able to go about doing that himself and having a woman that can help manage and keep that afloat and keep that kind of and like help him add to it, but not to build it, not to build the foundation. He needs to be able to build that foundation. That's the dirty work. And a man needs to teach a boy how to do that. A woman can't do that, or she could, but that would be a different, rare type of woman. That's not majority of women. However, okay, continuing on. Just in general, okay, go through college. Get like I struggled really bad my first year. Again, drugs up until like the end of school year. Didn't like work out. Then when I worked out, what was awesome for me is that I was like on the banks of the Mississippi River. So that was like a spiritual awakening for me. I used to go out at night, look at the stars. I'm from Chicago, so we didn't see stars like that. Well, you saw them, but it wasn't like a bed of stars in the sky. It wasn't like, yo, there's stars everywhere you could look. And that used to be crazy to me. And then also off the banks of Mississippi, you see crocodiles, bro. I'm in Louisiana. You see them eyeballs in the water, bro. That was scary, but also like, damn, that's different. So it was definitely a life altering experience for me to be in that area, be in that place. So okay, boom, we keep going. I come back to Chicago to no stability, right? My mom's only way of success is to work like a 9 to 5. So that was her main goal, was to get me into working a 9 to 5 and have the life that she had. Because again, a person can only take you to their level of success. I should have never followed her model. And it doesn't mean that she's a bad person, that she's not. But I have always had grander ideas of what I could be. And I've always known like my level of intelligence, and not to like be braggadocious about it. It's just I know my coachability. I'm extremely coachable, and that if you just I could be a trader, I could be a clergyman, I could be whatever, a salesman, I could be whatever because I'm a very receptive person in terms of like I don't have preconditioned thought. I'm a very open-minded person. So if you try to teach me a concept, I will allow you the space to lay that foundation, and then I can understand that pretty clearly, and then build on top of that, or even find nuance, and then find a way to be able to probably add to that and make that a little bit more of a creative or enhance the system in a way. All right, boom. So we're going past that. Now we're trying to just keep adding. All right, so come home unstable. Found like a nice little love for weed, and this is before weed was legal in Chicago. So I'm definitely out here like smoking. I'm smoking like crazy, but like yeah, it's not like crazy somewhat, but like then me and my best friend, like it's my day one homie here, like my brother. He really my brother. For clarity's sake, he's my best friend, but he's really my brother. Um, and then from that, we just trying to make it. We young, 21, 22. We still trying to party, still have fun, still trying to get up on girls and get onto all the other BS and stuff like that. But I look good. Like I worked out. I was in great shape, boy. I was solid. And then I ended up meeting this girl who was from Louisiana, of all things. That's a whole another segment for another day. This was like she wasn't my first love. My first love was this girl that I went to high school with, for sure, first love. But like this other girl was like I was madly in love with this girl. So anyway, the change of voice and everything should just let you know what that was even all about. All right, so from there, what happened? I feel weird with this mic up in my face. Pause. But I'm just still whatever. I'm good. I'm not even gonna be weird about it just because what have you. But then after that, right? So we go all the way up to like 2013. I'm 22, 23 years old. 23. I have to have brain surgery. I had a cerebral abscess. Look, maybe you could see like a little bit like a scar. Kind of flexed it a little bit right there. That scar. There's also like a shunt in there. There's like a little piece that goes all the way down, like kind of from here, all the way down to my gut. I didn't even realize that till last year. They told me they put it in there. I thought it was just up here, but it actually goes all the way down. So it's like tight in my neck sometimes, like on the outside laterally. Uh, I will start to talk into some anatomical positions sometimes because I'm a trainer, so don't mind me. But yes, we go through all that, right? I go through this brain surgery. 98% fatal. So I had a near death experience, right? Like if I had maybe lingered around and not tried to go to the hospital, then I would have been gone. And how I even knew to go to the hospital was because I couldn't like this mic. I couldn't say mic. Like I knew in my mind this a mic, this a microphone, but I couldn't say it out my mouth. So that was like a sign that, all right, dog, you might be, losing it. You should probably go check that out. All right, so I do that. And then I go through like a year of speech therapy. My mom, like, you need to get a regular job. Da, da, da. You need to stop this coaching because I was training people at this time. I got personal training cert. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. Da, 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 I love this. Okay, cool. It's a lot of fine women in there. Like, I'm young. So just perfect. But then I get to, being, I can't really speak. So coaching's kind of out the window. So I go through speech therapy, end up working at this pharmaceutical company for about 3 or 4 years between 23, 24, and 26, right? Which was a good period of time. I met some really cool people from diverse groups all over, right? And then this is also where I met my wife, the woman that I had, only knew for 3 months. However, I met her there. Within 3 months of us knowing each other, she gets pregnant, and we have a baby, and then we stick around, and we have a second baby. And then that's kind of where I want to go into through this whole process of just understanding like that the whole world of like trapping people. And I think that that's something that still happens. I had a friend who had an incident recently where this woman was like crashing out because he wouldn't like keep having sex with her no more, right? Or he was like she was mad that he still was talking to other girls or whatever like that. And I still see stuff like that, like the way she was crashing out, she was freaking out in the house, and I look at that as extremely manipulative because that's what happened to me. I'll tell you, I don't know if anybody else could ever relate to this, but when I first got with my ex, first got with my yeah, she was my ex-wife. When I first got with her, what ended up happening was she was coming over my house every day to have sex, every day, and I was tired, bro. I'm 23, 24. I'm 24 actually at the time. And she like kind of shamed me for that. She shamed me. She was like, what's the whole point of being with she's like 29, 30. What's the whole point of being with a young man if I can't get it how I want it multiple times a day? I'm like, cuz it's my life force energy, bro. Like I don't want to be out here that's not what I'm here for. I'm not just like that's already a immature way. To be honest, I didn't realize that because she just had the age, she had the years. Looking back on it, I'm like, that's immature. That was extremely immature for her to just say, oh, like because I'm young, I'm supposed to be giving up massive amounts of sex. And I know that might be a narrative or a stigma or whatever you want to call it, but then we could kind of go down that road to see how these double standards play out. Because what do we really have? We have this double standard that if a man is overly pressuring a woman to have sex, then that dude is kind of doing too much. Or he might be like on some, not predator type stuff, but he's like a sexually dominant type of man. But when a woman, especially an older woman, does that to a younger younger boy, man, whatever you want to call me at the time. I would consider myself still a boy because I hadn't really even went through the full maturation process of college and learning how to be organized and disciplined and everything that goes along with that. But hey, whatever, we could just call it how we see it. Then whatever, but I'm doing adult things, so I have to kind of just go with the reality that hey, I'm out here doing what adults do, so I can't sit here and not be accountable. However, she could have also took a level of accountability. That's one of the things where I really started to see with accountability, where people was like, oh, you gotta be accountable for your actions. But I think that some actions are two people, right? If two people go rob a bank, I think that both people are accountable for the overall robbing of the bank, right? You know what I'm saying? And one person might be a little more culpable than the other person. So I think that that's the real deal right there. Is that this is how things end up breaking down. They just end up breaking down because we don't we don't vet and we don't really sit down and really think about what it is that we're in the moment, right? Because then our actions will make more sense. Sometimes we just go so much with just the emotions and the way that people feel about something that we don't think about what's actually happening and what the consequences of if we keep stepping in a certain direction or not. I was so caught up in someone liking me and wanting to have sex with me every day that I didn't question what the reality was. So then when my mom was like, "She trapped you," I'm like, "What do you mean she trapped me?" I'm thinking that she just loves me and she wants, but like sex isn't love. That's not. Those aren't two things that are the same. Like there's sex and then there's love, and you can be in love and have good sex, but then it does not mean that they're the same thing. Two people could actually never have sex with each other and love each other. To be honest, because of just a connection, just because a truth and a value and a how can I say, where they really do sense the soul of the other person, right? They sense the beingness of the other one that's in front of them, or it could be a pen pal, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you just get a sense of who it is that you're engaging with and who you're communicating with. All right, now past by all that, I'm just going about this to simply state that it has become apparent that trapping, especially there's this phenomena of like cougars, right? But not cougar. I wouldn't even say cougars because that's a different thing. That's really just like that couldn't become a manipulation. That can almost become like a midlife crisis, but for women. So you have like men who, because what we have now is that we have like women with status and money, and you have young boys who are lost without fathers who are looking for guidance, and they're looking at powerful women. So when you have powerful women who have financial freedom, when they have the confidence that comes with that financial freedom, and maybe roles and positions that allow them to kind of carry themselves in that way, that can become attractive to a weaker man. A weaker man might look at that because he still has a mother complex and he still loves his mother, not sexually per se. I mean, I don't know everybody's thing, but I'm just saying it's like this the powerful woman narrative or motif or archetype is something that may be within that boy's or man's psyche, and when he sees it externally, he's fascinated by it. But however, what you find with those relationships, they get very toxic because there is something inherent and deep within men where they don't like to be, they don't like to be led by women, not as grown men, right? There's something that kind of emerges within a man, and that you'll see a lot of those end up in some sort of a domestic situation, or you'll just see it just go into like where he is a highly volatile person, and she might be a highly controlling, manipulative person. And it doesn't have to go like that, but you can understand why that might manifest. It's because both are kind of going with what their power is. Men have physical power, no matter the age difference, ever. They always will have that. But this woman might have psychological, emotional control and power. And she may be able to financially manipulate him. She may be able to emotionally manipulate him. She may be able to affect his self confidence and self worth. It happened to me. That's why I'm saying that. I was extremely confident going into my relationship with my ex, and on the end of it, I was not. I was so the reason why I ended up breaking out of it because I was tired of feeling the lack of self worth. I was tired of feeling the lack of confidence, and I personally feel like I was in a relationship with a female narcissist who was able to project all these outside world images that she was like this great person who was always trying to just be a part of the winning team. But I saw behind the scenes kind of how she was, and the manipulation. Once you become aware of it, you start to see it in places that you never even thought that that's what it was before. But you're like, damn, did this person ever really care? Did this person is this person always kind of gaming the relationship or gaming the way that we interact in order to get leverage? And how deep and how thought out and planned out is this game plan? It's you think you're just randomly stepping around the relationship and she's guiding the relationship. So that's something that I learned post after the fact. And then if you do that, you do go through that as a man. Some guys crash out. They really do crash out, and some guys they're never the same after that. They might have confidence issues that extend on into the future. They might have a lower self esteem that goes on into the future. So I might be projecting my own stuff, but I do feel that maybe I am talking to other people who maybe have experienced something similar with a woman who uses her emotionality or her emotional savage savviness to be able to like manipulate and control the vibe of the relationship. So it's a thing. However, that's really what I even want to start to talk about. I'm not gonna always go live. Sometimes I'll have like dedicated pods. I'll also try to invite people who have interesting perspectives and takes on different topics. I would love for people in the comments if you can comment on what I've just talked about, whether or not you can relate, or whether or not you think I'm a goofy, or whether or not you think I'm just dumb for like even letting like that's possible, bro. Like I've sat and had those same thoughts. Like, dog, I feel like a straight lame for like letting somebody do this to me. And let me think the way I think and allow them to have so much emotional control. And you know what's sad about the situation? The reason why I know I was like validating the way I was thinking about it is because I'm seeing it happen to my daughters now. So that same level of control and manipulation is still being done differently, of course, because it's not a romantic sexual relationship between the mother and the daughters. But she is still using the same tactics, just with different situations and different scenarios. And my daughters are starting to be affected emotionally, psychologically, self esteem. All those things are pretty low for my daughters. And they don't come from me. Like, I can definitely, over the time, I will play videos of me and my daughter and how we've interacted and how we've had. I got a YouTube video on here, me and my daughter cooking. In that video, I'm gonna put a clip up, a short of my daughter talking about how my ex-wife tried to send me to jail. You know what I'm saying? Like on purpose. Like that was her intention, and because she wanted to manipulate and control and contrive the whole situation. So that's something where I really just want to be able to like let people understand and come into my world and see what's going on over here. Not that it's even more important than anybody else's. I think everyone else has a story too. Everyone has a story, and maybe my story can help someone else be brave enough to come out and tell their story, and feel that maybe they were not, maybe they're not the villain in their story. Not to say that they need to be the victim, but they probably not the villain. And there's somebody out there who may be doing that and maybe um, putting that shadow over them. And I want people to be able to have their light again. I finally feel like I'm finding my light again through a lot of help, not just through people, through spirit, through community, through your bloodline, through those who really care about you, through God, through you just being a fighter. You gotta fight for it, bro. You gotta really want to not give up. You gotta really want to not give up, and you gotta really want to win in the face of someone trying to stop you and someone trying to hurt you. So All right, I'm gonna piece that out right there. I made it. Wait, no, I gotta wait 8 more seconds, bro. I gotta get 30 on the first one, bro. Let me drop 30 in the first game. Come on, boss. Let me get 30. Yes, sir.